Welcome to Axon Investigate 2.8. Getting started, this is a brief tutorial on how to use some of the new features in this software version. So to get started, we need to add our evidence to our file list, and there are a couple ways to do this. You can do the add icon next to the word file list, say add files and direct it to a folder somewhere on your computer, select a file, open, and it will load in your file list. Probably the easiest way to do this is find the folder, open the folder on your computer, select the files that you want to add, highlight them, left-click, drag, and drop them into the file list. You can do the same action with folders. This folder here has multiple video files inside of it. If I've organized folders of content, you can take the folder, left-click, drag, and drop, and it will load into your file list. Now we can interrogate each of these video files. Interrogate is simply pushing this interrogate button, aka the play button on the file, and having it play. Now I can do our typical processing with scrubbing forward, frame stepping, I can fast forward. We also have this hotkey menu here on the timeline that's new. It will open this menu that also has the same functions on these icons. So if I click L, you'll see that the file is playing. If I click J, it will go in reverse. You can use these same hotkeys from your keyboard, whatever processing is most comfortable for you. One of the other things that is customary to address is any differences or changes, edits that we need to make in date and time. So on this file, we have date and time on the file, but say at a particular frame time, say I know, for example, that frame 1056 is actually 12:26 and not 19 seconds, or it's 12:30, and I need to edit that particular frame time. The offset date and time pencil icon here on the timeline brings up a menu for me to edit the timing at that particular frame. I can also go to this tab that says Offset Calculator. This allows me to make edits to this particular file by putting in what the DVR date and time was versus the actual date and time, if you used a cell phone to reference that, and clicking Calculate, which will do the math for me. Or if I know, for example, that the DVR was off by an hour, say it wasn't set for daylight savings time, I can correct that and hit Adjust Time, play the file, and you'll see that the date and time updated. You can also do this next to the file at the settings wheel, where you can see here that the 1 hour offset that I applied shows grayed out. You can change the date and time here with the calendar. You can also have access to the same offset date and time calculator. And if you need to make adjustments to a video, multiple videos in a folder, you can do the same date and time offset adjustments at the folder level using the icon next to the folder name to be able to bring up that same calculator. This will adjust the date and time for every file in that folder. So now one of the things that most people need to do is to take subclips and still images. So here I have an incident where an individual comes into a restaurant, fires a couple shots into the ceiling, and leaves. So instead of scrubbing through an hour's worth of video, I might want to just take a subclip of that particular instance. So right before this person comes into view, I'm going to mark I or type I on my keyboard as my endpoint. I can scrub, play, or frame step forward till he is out of view. Type O for my output, and you'll see a shaded area displayed on the timeline. Type S for subclip, and it brings up a dialog menu where you can name your subclip. You have the option to add narrative report text. This add row here allows you to access a drop-down menu of metadata. If metadata that you want is not listed, you can create your own. Click OK, and you'll see that there is another group created on my file list that is entitled Subclips. And here I can interrogate or play back just the subclip of that incident. We can also mark some still images. Say I frame step forward to a point where he fires a shot into the ceiling. I can type the letter M on my keyboard and title this particular still image. And you'll notice that there is another group in my file list called marked image. If I interrogate that, I'm seeing just the marked image. If I need to add metadata to these and I didn't do it when the dialog displayed, you can go back into the settings wheel on any of these files and add necessary metadata that you can search by later. As you're working through your projects, we recommend that you save them. To do so, you can go Project Action Save or Save As, give it a title. It automatically defaults to Untitled. So here I can keep it or I can change the name. I'm just going to say untitled and save that project out. That way, if I close out Axon Investigate for the day and I come back, I can go Project Actions Load. It comes up asking me to save changes. Load the project, and it will load my assets back into the file list. This can also be done by simply going to that location on my desktop where I stored my project, and you can drag and drop that project into the file list. It's going to ask me if I want to overwrite the project. So I said yes. So it can load by dragging and dropping the project into the file list or going Project Actions Load to reload your project. One of the other things that you need to do typically is to export these proprietary file formats into a standard container, such as an MP4. You can select the files on your file list that you want to export. Click the export icon at the top of the file list. We have the plus icon next to the file name field that allows you to insert some advanced naming options to your file. So I'm going to include the file name. Output is there by default. You can remove that if you choose to. You can add any of these other variables. In this particular case, if I select best quality, I'm simply rewrapping these proprietary files into a standard MP4, but keeping all of the content of the files the same. Now I'm going to click the box to send these outputs back to my file pane list so you can see how quickly they will start to populate. Now they're going to start to load into the file list, and I can play these files now just as before, and I am viewing an MP4 of the original proprietary. So that is a quick tutorial on getting started with Axon Investigate 2.8. If you have any questions, we recommend that you contact us at support-investigate@axon.com.